और अब रुख करते हैं उनका जो हमारे साथ वर्चुअल माध्यम से जुड़े हुए हैं। पद्मश्री डॉक्टर अनिल कुमार राजवंशी, निम्बकर एग्रीकल्चर रिसर्च इंस्टीट्यूट नारी, which is in Maharashtra, is run by Dr. Anil Kumar Rajvanshi. Dr. Rajvanshi has worked on rural development for past 3 decades, focusing on a variety of issues that have an impact on rural residents, including the use of renewable energy for water purification and effluent treatment, electric cycle rickshaws, power generation from agriculture waste, and fuel production from agriculture. Actually, he is here to guide us that how you can be a good citizen. See, we all say कि हम अच्छे नागरिक हैं, हम भारत के अच्छे नागरिक हैं, लेकिन नागरिक होने के बाद हमारे कुछ ऐसे दायित्व होते हैं जो हम भूल जाते हैं। वो कौन से दायित्व हैं जो हमें पूरा करना चाहिए? हम एक अच्छे नागरिक कैसे बन सकते हैं? What are the ethics of work and how can we be a good citizen? On this, he is here to present his presentation. All over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me properly?
Yes, sir. We can hear you very well.
And I will share my, what happened to this? I'll share the screen. The screen is not coming.
No problem, sir. We'll share your screen.
Okay. First of all, I'll speak in English, and I hope there is a translation available for others to.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely, sir. Let me tell each and every one of them. सर अंग्रेजी भाषा में अपनी बात रखेंगे। आप सभी से सादर अनुरोध है कि व्याख्यान हेतु आप आपके सामने रखे हुए हेडफोन्स का इस्तेमाल करें। इंटरप्रिटेशन फैसिलिटीज अवेलेबल। यू ऑल कैन यूज द हेडफोन्स। सर प्लीज गो हेड।
Good afternoon, fellow Padma awardees, ladies and gentlemen. I must really thank Shri Om Birla ji, the Honorable Speaker of Lok Sabha, for inviting me to address the Honorable Members of Parliament. I am deeply honored to do so. I am also thankful to Pride for providing logistics. I am really thankful to the Prime Minister Modi ji for giving me Padma Shri last year. He plucked me out of oblivion and thus helped me share some of my experiences with wider audiences like these. I'm first going to tell you briefly about our work, then its possible implications for helping develop Atmanirbhar Bharat that our Prime Minister Shri Modi ji talks about. Can I have a second slide, please? I run a small rural NGO called Nimkar Agriculture Research Institute in Fulton Taluka, District Satara. This NGO was started in 1968 by Mr. wife, Dr. Nandini Nimkar, both PhDs from a very well-known United States university, left a lucrative career in United States in 1981, and in a fit of madness and arrogance came to rural Maharashtra. Madness that I wanted to do something for rural India, and arrogance that with my knowledge and experience in renewable energy acquired in the United States, I will change India. India is a very ancient country and a society, and how foolish I was to think about changing it. India did not change. It changed me. Living and working in rural India taught me humility, sustainability, and spirituality. And that has been the story of my life. In the process, I also learned an interesting lesson. If you want to do something different, you have to be foolish and arrogant, as I was. Thus, to a lot of my peers, I come from IIT Kanpur. I did my BTech and MTech from IIT Kanpur. I have been a failure because of so much of education and opportunity. I left United States to work in rural India and hardly made any money. But I feel that I have lived a fruitful and an emotionally satisfying life that is far more precious than making a lot of money. That is in itself a fascinating story, and I have written a book about it, detailing my journey from IIT Kanpur, where I got my BTech, to United States to rural India. Can I have the third slide, please? Go ahead. So this is the book that I wrote about my journey from United States, from IIT to United States to India. Since 1981, just hold for a minute. Since 1981, we have been doing interesting work in trying to utilize the best tools of science and technology for rural development. There are many firsts to our credit, and they are listed in our website www.narifaltan.org, and also in my book, Romance. Can you go to the next slide, please? This is the book that I wrote about our work, and it is called Romance of Innovation. That is the title of my talk also. Human interest story of doing R&D in rural setting. However, I'll highlight few of the notable ones. Can I have the next slide, please? Our energy self-sufficient Taluka plan in 1990s, which became a national policy and was run by MNRE, has resulted in setting the idea of Taluka self-sufficiency came from my dear friend, the economist, Dr. V.M. Dandekar in early 1980s. In 1981, when I came to Fulton from United States, I saw large-scale sugarcane leaves being burnt in Western Maharashtra as a part of waste disposal problem. Not only this burning produced pollution, but I felt it was a waste of good energy source. And the first photograph shows this burning at night, which even exists today. Besides sugarcane leaves, other agricultural residues were also being burned. We mapped all the residues of Fulton Taluka and prepared a plan showing that agricultural residues of a taluka can run a biomass-based power plant to supply all its energy needs. Based upon this thesis, MNRE did the biomass mapping of all talukas in the country, and I'm very proud that this has been done for the whole country. Next, can you, yeah. NARI also developed a leafy biomass gasifier to use these residues for small energy systems. And what I show here is a 0.5 megawatt thermal system running in the institute and which can be used for so many. Now, I was born and raised there and was always troubled by the plight of poor rickshaw pullers. Hence decided to do something about it. So in the mid 1990s, we started the work of electrifying rickshaws. This was the first such attempt anywhere in the world for producing e-rickshaws. And I show the first photograph is a e-rickshaw that we produced in 2000, and the rest of the rickshaws that we produce for different applications. And we have converted our work of e-mobility into producing e-farm machines for research plots. Our work on developing electric rickshaws in late 1990s has led to its development and deployment. Consequently, there are 15 to 20 electric rickshaws running on Indian roads since then. 83% of the total electric mobility used in India is by these e-rickshaws, and we are very proud that the original work came from our institute. There are many videos and stories on our work which have been published in mass media. Next slide, please. When I came from United States to Fulton in 81, the electricity situation in Fulton was really bad. So very often I used to use kerosene lanterns at night in our house. It was very interesting going from some of the best schools in Lucknow to IIT Kanpur to America and then coming back to rural India, which taught me humility that I had to study at night in the lanterns. But as an engineer, it started me to think on how to improve them. We therefore embarked on a program, the first in the world of improving kerosene lanterns. Later on, we combined the lanterns with cooking stoves to produce a device called land stove. And the last slide shows land stove, where the light itself is very bright, but in the heat of that light, one can cook a complete meal for a family of 5. We have taken these land stoves in the unelectrified huts, and they felt it was very nice. Besides improving the lanterns, we also looked at alternative fuel to kerosene that could be produced in India. This led us to pioneer the program of producing ethanol from sweet sorghum, a multi-purpose crop, and using it to run lanterns and stoves. In fact, sweet sorghum was introduced in India by our institute in late 1970s, and we were the first one. Can you please just click again so you can show? Yeah. And we were the first one to produce ethanol from sweet sorghum through this pilot plant, which was completely powered by solar energy. And this, so in fact, was the first pilot plant in the world. This was done in 87. And we produced the ethanol, and we tried to use this ethanol for cooking and lighting. Our work on ethanol for cooking and lighting has been adopted on a much larger scale in Africa and Latin America. Unfortunately, we can't do this in India because we have a very strong, laws against use of ethanol for cooking and lighting. Our work on ethanol from sweet sorghum, which we did in 1980s, is also known world over, and many distilleries around the world produce ethanol from sweet sorghum. Our sweet sorghum variety Madhura is very well known and is also used for producing syrup. And I show the Madhura syrup. It's a table variety syrup, and now it is being used for pharmaceutical industries, and we are selling it nicely. In fact, we are the sole suppliers of sweet sorghum syrup in India. Next slide, please. We found that it allowed us the understanding of the food needs for rural poor. And then we developed a program of rural restaurants. You know, after a hard day's work, a woman is in no shape or mood to cook. And it is very tiring and unpleasant chore. And besides, the wood-based chulha produces tremendous pollution in rural households. We also found that they had very poor nutrition. Daily rations were bought from the PDS shops, and sometimes these rations were not available. So they tended to eat less. In fact, it is very easy to see most of these poor people eat bhakris with just chutney, and their nutrition is very poor. And they age very rapidly and have a lot of mental problems also. So we developed this program of creating a rural restaurants where we felt that they could go and get subsidized food for rupees 10. We did this work in 2012, and in fact it has helped. We're very proud to say that it has helped initiating Amma Unnabagam in Tamil Nadu, and also resulted in Shiv Bhojan program in Maharashtra. And presently about 10 lakh meals are served daily under these schemes. Other states are also planning to take it up. So just a small doing a small work and these huts made us aware about these things, and it really has gone on a very large scale. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah. In the past, our research work on cotton, sweet sorghum, safflower have benefited farmers all over the country. We have done a lot of pioneering work in safflower. In fact, till 2017, 25% of all the released varieties came from our institute, NARI. In fact, quite a number of you must have eaten the saffula oil that comes from our variety. We use the petals as a herbal tea. We use the vegetables, and the residues are used for making charcoal. In fact, we have developed the whole plant approach for a lot of these agriculture processes. We also developed, because this safflower is very thorny crop, so we also developed a solar powered safflower petal collector, and this petals sell for 1400 to 1500 rupees per kilogram, whereas the seed sells for 30 to 40 rupees per kilogram. We started the work on animal husbandry division in 1990. Our work on sheep breeding is very well known all over the country. We produce twinning in the sheep. Normally you get one kid, but now with our FECB gene, you can produce twins, and it helps the farmers increase the income. And this is what the Prime Minister has been talking about. How do we double the income of farmers? We believe that the future is precision agriculture and hydroponics. Can we have the next slide, please? Our latest project is on providing clean drinking water to rural schools. We found out that all the rural schools, though they have filters and etc., but nobody changes those filters, nobody cleans them, and they have a very high E. coli count. And as you can imagine, the children, when they drink this water, they have a lot of diarrheas and other disease, and it really affects their health and mental health also. We want to harvest rainwater and purify it using our unique solar energy technology. The reason why we went for the rainwater harvesting is because it does not contain any salts. If you take the water from the ground, it contains a lot of salts, which is very difficult to perfect answer for some of these schools. Not only will it supply clean drinking water to school children, but will also help them learn about solar energy, rainwater harvesting, and water analysis. In fact, when they will work with these projects in the school, they will learn about these things. And I think that is the best way for them to learn science and technology through hands-on programs. I feel the Government of India can facilitate this program through the Jal Shakti Abhiyan of rainwater harvesting. All the examples that I showed, few of the examples, there are many examples in my book, are examples of frugal innovations. Frugal innovations are those in which one gets more from less for the benefit of maximum people. But the real frugal innovation has been in doing R&D in a rural setting, in a shoestring budget. All our R&D in renewable energy in the last 40 years at NARI has been done in less than 10 crores. I feel that to do excellent R&D, one does not need a lot of money. What is needed is deep thinking and a passion for problem solving. This results in some very innovative solutions, and this is a talk I give to the youngsters. I do not know how many of them accept that, but this I feel can be the future of India's R&D. I have written about these innovations in my book, Romance of Innovation, as I showed you before. And it is available freely on the internet because I believe that the knowledge should be freely available and the youngsters can maybe inspired by these examples. Can I have next slide, please? Having spent more than 40 years staying and working in rural India, I have learned few lessons that I would like to share with you and which may have implications on how to make this country great. The first lesson that we learned was that we need excellent and dedicated people on the ground for rural development. I therefore feel that some of our brightest and the most talented scientists and engineers are needed to solve the complex technological problems of rural India using local resources, materials, and workforce. Somehow our brightest students do not engage with the rural problems, and so it is really a great challenge for all of us to make them interested in it. One of the best ways I feel to do is to make bright engineers and scientists exposed to farming practices and given courses in agriculture. Besides, they should be inspired to spend time, 6 months to 1 year, doing internship with rural-based science and technology organizations like ours. When one stays and work in these areas for a longer time, then one understands the problems better. And I feel that intelligent and smart people and students can think about them and can produce out-of-box solutions to solve them. For this, we need to create a vibrant science and technology infrastructure for rural areas and strengthen the existing rural-based R&D institutes. And some of you, the Honorable Member of Parliaments, may think about it, that if we want to make Atmanirbhar Bharat, then we need to have very extensive funding for R&D for rural areas. That will include increased funding in IITs, NITs, etc. for doing high-tech R&D, which will provide solutions for rural India. Provision of excellent fellowships to students from top engineering colleges to spend a year or two in developing technologies and solutions for these areas. And finally, the most important thing is creating venture funds to help agri-tech startups. There are very few funds available for agri-tech startups. And unless until we do that, we will not have the startup culture for rural areas. Recipe for success world over has been to get the best people involved in a project and provide them with adequate funding. They can then solve any problem in the world. This methodology has been used in so many things, and I feel they should also be used for rural development. Next slide, please. The second lesson that we learned is the need to develop unique technological solutions for rural problems. We have unique problems which nobody else will solve it. We have to solve ourselves. Presently, most of our products are made for urban areas and then they trickle down and get transported to rural areas. We need to make the goods and solutions in or near the rural markets rather than shipping them through thousands of kilometers at enormous cost. This will require and biomass together with locally available materials to produce the final products. In this process, very innovative technological solutions like 3D printing, artificial intelligence, etc. could be used. The wealth of the country comes from its land, and the most important commodity is the food. After all, we need to eat food rather than nuts and bolts or software. With growing population, we need to create food security. Thus, by helping the farmers, we can create wealth in rural areas. Also, we cannot simply import farming technological systems from abroad because the farms in the United States and Europe are huge, and hence those systems are not suitable for small holdings, which are less than 1 hectare for Indian farmers. Scaling down these technologies may help, but will tax the best engineering brains. I think a better solution is to develop unique technologies and solutions for small farms here in India. And we are the people who do wonderful things all over the world. So why can't we do it here itself? This will be the right step in the creating Atmanirbhar Bharat, which our Honorable Prime Minister is stressing upon. Small and efficient farm machines for plowing, seeding, pesticide application, harvesting, weed removal are needed. Hence, development of these machines, which will be electric powered, drone based, and helped by artificial technologies, will be very useful. I have shown this small painting that we did in our institute. It was based upon the work that I wrote the first paper on precision agriculture almost 13 years ago. And I felt that such machines, autonomous machines, and the farmer becomes a breeder. And these machines are given by the companies which can lease these machines to the farmer. Farmer will not own them. but he can order it and they will do the work for them. This will require also very strong and excellent synergy between top educational institutes, science and technology NGOs, and corporate world. Without the corporate world coming into this ecosystem, these systems will not work. Can I have the third slide, please? Next slide. And the last and the most important lesson, and I believe that there was the topic that the Pride people told me that they have put it, is that we have to reduce our greed and become sustainable in our personal life and become good citizens. Then only we can create a sustainable India. As Gandhiji said, we should practice what we preach. So if we want to become Vishwaguru, as our Honorable Prime Minister has said, then we should practice sustainability ourselves. I feel greed can be reduced by practicing spirituality. Spirituality is concerned with the matters of spirit. When we think deeply and for a long time about anything, whether it is an idea or an object, then the brain has a tendency of focusing on it like a laser, and in the process the object vanishes from the vision field and only its germ or the spirit remains. This is called Sanyam in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, about which I have written extensively because I am a great admirer and a student of Patanjali, and results in complete knowledge of that idea or the object. This is the process by which all great discoveries of the world have been made. It is this deep thinking on anything which makes our brain very powerful, makes us spiritual, removes our insecurities, and gives us a sense of peace and happiness. It also gives us a proper perspective on what is important in life. Another consequence of becoming spiritual is that one becomes fearless and the desire to impress others is reduced. It also reduces our desire to control the events and the narrative, and this can lead to a more tolerant and happy society. Besides, it also helps us to give back to society. Spirituality helps us live a sustainable lifestyle, since one uses goods and services to fulfill one's needs and not to show off. This can help us reduce our energy and resource consumption, and by judicious and efficient use of technology, when we can live a sustainable and emotionally satisfying life. I have tried to live such a life for the past 35 years, and in fact it is very well known. It has spread all over the world on how I live and what are the energies that I use. I therefore believe that the mantra of India's and world's development should be technology guided by spirituality can produce happiness and sustainability. Spirituality allows us to curb our greed, and with technology it can make our lives better. This is the lesson that I have been teaching youngsters in all my lectures and interaction. I have been writing on these issues for the last 20 years and have published more than 200 articles in Times of India, Speaking Tree, Thrive Global, Huffington Post, and South Asia Monitor, and I have 2 books on this subject. I strongly feel that if we use the ancient Indian philosophical thought with a modern technology, then this could lead to a new paradigm of development for creating a sustainable and emotionally satisfying world. This can really then help India become a Vishwaguru. Secretariat for giving me this opportunity to present my views before the honorable members. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. And very well you said, and very beautiful mantra you gave, that spirituality is not a religion and technology guided by spirituality can lead to happiness and sustainability. Very beautiful mantra. Thank you so much for your contributions indeed. Thank you very much for joining us. और अब क्योंकि चेहरे मुझे ये बता रहे हैं, अब क्योंकि मुझे चेहरे यही बता रहे हैं कि भूखे पेट भजन भी नहीं होता, तो इन चेहरों को मैं पढ़ चुकी हूँ और मुझे लगता है कि ये सही वक्त होगा, घड़ी ने भी इशारा कर दिया है कि जलपान के लिए आप सभी को आमंत्रित किया जाए। तो मेरा अनुरोध है आप सभी से कि लंच के लिए बैंक्वेट हॉल की तरफ प्रस्थान करें और 20 मिनट के बाद पुनः हम कार्यक्रम को फिर से शुरू करेंगे। और आप जितने लोग अपना वक्तव्य प्रस्तुत नहीं कर पाए, आप सभी पोस्ट लंच अपना वक्तव्य प्रस्तुत कीजिएगा। आप सभी प्रस्थान कीजिए बैंक्वेट हॉल की तरफ।
जस्ट फॉर द इंफॉर्मेशन आप सभी के लिए, ऑनरेबल स्पीकर साहब किसी अर्जेंट कारण से भी कहीं डिले हो गए हैं, तो एज सून एज ही हैज गॉट सम अर्जेंट मीटिंग, सो अगर जस्ट एज सून एज ही गेट्स फ्री ही विल बी जॉइनिंग अस। थैंक यू।